Thank you, thank you, thank you. Welcome to the Strategic Arts and Education Initiative, organized by the Confined Arts Justice and Safety Coalition, and funded by the Ford Foundation. The mission of the Strategic Arts Engagement Initiative is to provide free artistic literacy, professional development, and capacity building trainings and workshops to new and existing community-based artists, specifically those that are justice involved, young adults, students, advocates, teaching artists, practitioners, legal advocates, and organizations who want to learn more about entrepreneurship, community enhancement, and or how they can use the arts to mitigate the imprint of the criminal legal system. I'm here today with Crystal Davis, founder of Crystal Letters and co-founder of Open Road Poetry. I'm also here with Edwin Santana, owner and operator at Tough Art Media. I am going to hand it over to Crystal now to take us to our community agreements. I think you're muted, Crystal.
Hold on one second. I had a little technical difficulty. Sorry about that, folks. Thank you for your patience. So here's a little snippet of our community agreements. And we just really ask you to be engaged, ask and answer questions in the chat, because we're all here to learn from one another and from each other's experiences. So come as you are. It doesn't matter if you just woke up. If you're here joining us, we're grateful to have you. It's okay not to be people ready. Please remain muted and with your camera off. At some point, we'll do a breakout room, and then we'll give you the opportunity to come on camera and unmute yourselves. And feel free to ask any questions in the chat. We also put our little introduction in the chat for everybody as a little icebreaker, so you can get to know one another and what your businesses are or what your future looks like as a business owner. If you're unsure how to use the chat, just let us know, and we'll also answer a lot of your questions during our Q&A. Use the word hold if something is unclear or needs further explanation. And if you need a break, pause, step back, step away. The session is being recorded. You can review it later at your own pace. So feel free to introduce yourself. I think this one is you, Edwin.
Yes. So, yes, good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. Yeah, so use the chat to introduce yourself. We already put some stuff in the chat already. And we want to know your name. We want to get to know your community. Share what you like. What's your name? Where are you tuning in from? What's your favorite color? Do you have a business already? Share your website, your social media links in the chat. And if you want to get really fancy, where do you see yourself? Where you see your business at in 5 years? So, I know it's a lot, but we like to get to know y'all, and I'm pretty sure that everyone else that's joining in want to get to know you too. So by all means, throw that in the chat. That I know some people already had done it. Hi, Sarah. She says she's listening in from Treaty 6 territory, Edmonton, Alberta, and Canada. Look at that, beautiful. Susan said within 5 years, working from anywhere at any time. So keep throwing it. Keep throwing them in the chat. And that way we can get to see you a little bit more. One more, I say Kasim McCoy said, I am Kasim, tuning in from home. Favorite color is red, and I'm looking to start my own business. Great. That's what we need. We need individuals like you that would that's starting from scratch. So thank you. And those who already have businesses, we're looking for y'all to impart any type of wisdom y'all have. So thank you.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you very much for that, Edwin. Just echoing everything Edwin said, please. This chat is going to be a resource, our first resource in this workshop, and it is us getting to know each other. Share your business, say a little bit about the work you do. You never know, somebody may need a service or they may need something to get started with their business, and you may be the right person. Connections can be made right there. So please take advantage of the chat, leave your information. All of this information will be shared at the end. I want to take a moment to do a digital land acknowledgement. Okay, since our activities are shared digitally to the internet, let's take a moment to consider the legacy, excuse me, forgive me, you all. Let's consider the legacy of colonization embedded within the technology structures and the ways of thinking we use every day. We are using equipment and high-speed internet not available in many indigenous communities. Even the technologies that are central to much of the art we make leave significant carbon footprints, contributing to changing climates that disproportionately affect indigenous people worldwide. I invite you to join us in acknowledging all this, as well as our shared responsibility to make good of this time, and for each of us to consider our roles in reconciliation, decolonization, and allyship. And this is a quote from Adrienne Wong. I'm gonna hand it back over to Crystal so that we can just do some introductions so you can get to know us a little bit more.
Hi again, everybody. So my name is Crystal Davis. I am the owner and the founder of Crystal Letters, LLC here in Jersey City, New Jersey. I was born and raised here. I've literally lived here all my life, went to school here. I am also the co-founder and co-producer of Open Road Poetry. If you were able to join the last workshop held with Susan Justiano and Mega Sood, she is, Rescue Poetics is the co-founder of Open Road Poetry as well. So I just, I wanted a chance to give back to my community when I was growing up, because I was always told as like a young artist that that wasn't gonna make me money. So I decided to just find my niche, and this was my niche, being able to just like use my writing, use my art, use my editing skills, everything that I've learned as an artist over my span of life, and just be able to start making money for it. So if you have like a passion, or if you have a skill or a talent that you are really good at and you just don't know where to start, this is a really good place for you to be. So if you're here with us this morning, this is the spot that you're meant to be in. And you can follow me on Facebook at Crystal Letters. You can find me on Instagram at Crystal Letters Official. And you'll learn a little bit more about my businesses later on in the presentation.
Once again, good morning, everybody. Thank you, Crystal, for that. My name is Edwin Santana. I've been known to do a lot of things, but one of the things a chunk of my life I spent incarcerated. Did 24 years in prison. I came home 5 years ago, a little more than 5 years ago. And I know I had dreams to do things, right? So, I delved into trying to get a career. I was a case manager. I worked for many nonprofit organizations. And I led, for many years, I led the campaign to close Rikers at Just Leadership USA. And it was really there where I was like, what am I gonna do? What do I want to do? And I always lean towards photography and videography, filming. So I'm on the advisory board for the Rikers Island Public Memory Project. And right now I work as a community organizer for Freedom Agenda, which is also leading the fight to close Rikers. So I sat down with myself and I said, what do I really want to do? As like a business. I don't mind working for somebody. I have to, right? I spent a lot of years away, but what am I going to do now? So I just I was always at these rallies, and I met some amazing people, some amazing criminal justice warriors that's out there in the streets holding signs when it's cold, when it's snowing. And I just started taking pictures with my phone, and I said, you know what? I want to kind of like build this into something. I think I could actually make a living off this. So, and plus it was something that I liked. So I found my niche there. I started filming rallies, and then it led on to, getting to where I wanted to start my business. And it took a minute. It took a little while for me to think of what I wanted to do. And I started Tough Art Media, which is a production company based here in New York City. I'm up in the Bronx. And I've met some wonderful, as you could call it, starving artists and things of that nature. So, you might have seen me somewhere, or I might have met you. But I'm here today to impart some of that knowledge on you. You can always you can email me at 2 emails. You can email me at emsantana1976@gmail.com or tough.art.media@gmail.com. If you want to get to know somebody nice, cool. You want to get into advocacy work, photography, whatever. So I appreciate y'all being here, and I will pass it to Isaac.
Peace and blessings, everybody. Thank you both, Crystal and Edwin, for those beautiful introductions. I'm Isaac Scott, founder and executive director of the Confined Arts. I'm a multidisciplinary visual artist, journalist, and ordained minister who created Isaac's Quarterly, a socially concerned faith-based company to provide and foster culturally representative aesthetics. I have an associate's degree in computer networking technology from Taylor Business Institute and a bachelor's degree in visual arts from the School of General Studies at Columbia University. I was ordained by Reverend Dr. Mabel Elliott of God's Touch Healing Ministry, and I currently serve as a community partner minister at Mount Zion AME Church in East Harlem. I also serve on the U.S. Prison Programs Advisory Council for the National Religious Campaign Against Torture. I share similar background to Edwin. Edwin, thank you very much for being transparent with your background of being formerly incarcerated. I also share that same background, and a lot of the work that I do comes right out of that background and that lived experience. I'm currently the chairperson for the Human Services Committee for Manhattan Community Board 11, which advocates for community equity for East Harlem, El Barrio, Spanish Harlem, Randall's Island, and Ward's Island. With that, I'll cut my introduction there. Thank you again to everybody for being here. If you know me, you know that the Confined Arts has been something that I have poured all of my life into, and I'll speak more about that, later in the presentation. But to have it be developed to this point is an honor, and I'm very, very grateful for each of you being here and us sharing resources together. That's what the Arts Justice Safety Coalition is all about. So with that, we can go into our presentation for today. Today's presentation is part one of the keys to successful entrepreneurship. So as stated in the flyer, this is going to be a 6-part series. So this part today, these 2 hours, we will focus on part one. It made more sense when we really flushed out, the three of us, when we flushed out the content that we wanted to cover with everyone. It was impossible to cover in 2 hours. So we wanted to do it justice and ensure that we separated it and was able to really dissect each part thoroughly so that it could be most beneficial for us all. So this is part one. I'll turn it back over to Crystal to take us into the topic for today.
Thank you, Isaac. And thank you all for bearing with me. Sorry, sometimes I get a little messed up with our tech. So today's topic is about identifying your niche. Today we'll explore some skills and talents that you'll need as an entrepreneur. We'll also focus on the types of products and services that businesses should offer, especially if you're going to be a new business owner. We're going to take a little time to figure out who your audience is, identify your mission aside from making money, and we're going to pinpoint the communication style and the language of your company. How does your company speak to your clients? How does your company speak to your audience? And we're also going to gain knowledge about some licenses and certificates that you might need.
And with that, that will be what we, thank you, Crystal, again, that will be what we cover today. The next few workshops will cover topics of, and it'll actually be in this order, I believe. Yes, to the best of my knowledge, I think this will be the order that they come up. So business structure will be the next one, and we'll be specifically talking about the differences between having a 501c3 versus having an LLC or having a different organizations. And I'll This is very important. I wanted this one I really wanted to put this content into this workshop, but it didn't make sense. It wouldn't fit rather. But it's important because a lot of folks are starting nonprofit organizations and charitable organizations, and I don't want to discourage people from that, but it may not be entirely necessary to set your business up as a 501c3 where you can have an LLC and one program or part of your business has a charitable initiative that you can get fiscally sponsored. So we'll talk about stuff like that, so that you can, be able to make a profit as a business owner and still be able to receive grant funding and charitable funding, donations and things like that when you do charitable work. So these are some things we'll cover in business structure. Business management will be, to the extent of, how does your business run? How do you manage it? Oversight, who's managing what? How are things getting done? Capacity. This is important. I will say, as Isaac's Quarterly took shape over the years, I always had an ambitious idea for what I wanted Isaac's Quarterly to do, but we could only do what my capacity allowed us to do. So I had to really realize my capacity. So business management will help us to really look deeper into our own capacity realistically. And as also our shared social capacity as well. So we'll go into some of that later as well. Marketing, advertising, gaining visibility. This is important. A lot of times we can't get to the right people because we don't have the visibility, right? People don't have us on their radar. We're completely missing, these opportunities that are being tossed out. People are looking for stuff. We don't know we need to be registered on this platform, registered on that platform. So just making sure we can maximize our visibility. And to what I was saying earlier, building and utilizing social equity, strategic partnering, really thinking about what you already have access to, the people, the things that, you can get done with them, stuff like that. How can you partner with another organization who's looking to do similar work or can complement something that you may have a need on, and you can complement what they have a need on, and you guys go into do an event together where you both promote your events together, and that can be some strategic partnering that you do that actually gains to be beneficial for you, so some things like that, sustainability, fundraising, and revenue. So yes, we will be talking about grant writing in that one. Yes, we will be talking about, being a nonprofit and still having revenue, what we will be talking about, what, boards look like, or what are they looking for, when, you write a proposal up, what your business plan should look like, things like that. So we'll be going through all of those things. So there'll be separate parts. We will, in follow-up emails, keep you informed on the dates, but everyone who's on right now is in our network. So we're going to make sure that you stay updated with all of the information, all of the workshops. And even if you're not able to join a particular workshop, just having been registered, we'll make sure that you get the information as well. So I want to make sure that you all know that. So with that, I will pass it back to Edwin.
Yeah. So today's we want to have you be thinking a lot, right? We want y'all to think about business. So it's all today is going to be about thinking about business, thinking about your business, thinking about how you can move your business forward, thinking about what you want to do to start a business. So Justin Law was the director of strategic partnerships at Gallup, right? And Justin helps organizations find and develop entrepreneurs. And that's what we're really here trying to nurture, right? So I want to read something that he said. He said, entrepreneurship is talent that can really live within anyone. It does live in everyone to some degree. It's just a matter of nurturing it. So whatever you can get out of this quote, right, will be amazing. Right, because I see a lot of things. There's a lot of powerful words in this, right? Talent, nurturing, right? Living within oneself. So there's a lot of things to unpack with this quote, and I just wanted to bring that out there right now for everyone to think about. You can move on to the next slide. So yeah, go ahead, Isaac.
I think you're muted.
Thank you. Getting ahead of myself. Now, as we transition, with having said all that, let's really start to think about, the work we are encouraged to do, the work that we want to do. Think about what brought us here today. And let's really start to ask those hard questions to ourselves, So one of the things I definitely want to put forward to you all in big, bold letters is be prepared to give all of yourself for your business and your brand to be successful. And with that, you should consider some questions and some things to think about. I'll pass it back to you, Edwin.
Yeah, so the questions are very they may seem so simple, but it's very important for what you're doing or what you're trying to do when it comes to business, right? So what are your skills, right? What are your skills? What's some of the skills that you have? And we're gonna talk a little bit more about that. And what are your talents? So we're gonna think about that too. And those are some of the words that came out of that quote, right? Skills and talents. But also we want y'all to consider what passions and your lived experiences. And what I mean by that is this. So you might have a passion to do something, right? You don't get paid for it. It's something that you like to do all the time, right? You might like to paint. You might like to do trinkets or make or put together stuff like bracelets, or I know a child entrepreneur that she loves to bedazzle everything, right? And she created a business based off that, right? 10 years ago, she started when she's 10. She's older now. She's like 16. So she put that passion into practice, right? And then your lived experiences, right? What do we mean by that? So it could be as intricate as myself, right? I have a lot of lived experience when it comes to the criminal justice system, right? As I said before, I'm so connected with the advocates on at these rallies that I say, you know what, let me start taking some pictures. And I took that lived experience, right? And I brought it to my business. I deal with a lot of re-entry organizations when they have events and things of that nature, right? And it helps because sometimes when you have somebody that shares the same lived experiences as you, it kind of makes business go well. But also, let's say you're the type of person that knows how to do floors, right? You never got paid for it before. So maybe you did your floor, maybe you did your homie's floor, your wife's floor, your brother's floor, and you say, you know what? I know how to do flooring. So maybe you want to parlay that into a business, right? So that's your lived experience, right? You take all that stuff, you look at what you actually want to do. And you take those lived experiences and you put it into a business. And sometimes it works, sometimes it don't, but it's something that can never be taken away from you, right? And with that, I just want you to continue thinking about along those lines, because we're gonna delve into those more into the skills and talents. And I'm gonna pass that back.
Copy. Thank you, Edwin. So just as we move forward, just echoing what Edwin said, skills and talents. What is a skill? It's important that we think these through differently and understand them differently, so we know how to leverage them within the work that we seek to do or are doing already. A skill is an expertise that can be acquired by doing things over time, like learning how to play guitar or speaking multiple languages fluently. It's not something you're born with, but rather something learned through practice, right? And a talent, on the other hand, refers to an inborn and special ability that someone has. It is the essence of what you love to do or do best, right? So keeping that moving forward, we can go to the next slide, please. With respects to our businesses, some of your entrepreneurial skills may look like business management skills, right? Teamwork and leadership skills, communication and listening skills, customer service skills, right? So just wanted to point, that 4 out of 5 of those are soft skills, right? And for business management, that you're going to need to understand teamwork and leadership in order to manage your business. And if you're not a nice person, then it's going to be very hard for you to be successful in your business, right? If you're not able to communicate with people, it's going to be hard for you to run your business and communicate your message. If you don't listen well, then it's going to be hard for you to hear specifically what a consumer is asking you for specifically, right? Teamwork and leadership, it's nothing worse than having a bad boss, right? And it's nothing worse than having a bad partner, right? A lot of folks are leaving work because they have horrible boss. I hate my boss, right? So that's because people fail at teamwork and leadership, right? So thinking about that, financial skills, analytical and problem solving skills, right? The ability to think on your toes, right? Critical thinking skills, right? Strategic thinking and planning skills. Sometimes you got to step back from doing the work to plan and prepare for the next set or the next cycle. So, when you take when teachers, I would say when teachers now, a lot of teachers are working through the summer, but a lot of the times teachers on their off time are able to prepare for the fall semester after the spring, right? So they use the summer to prepare for the fall. So taking your time to do your strategic thinking, your planning, what do you need to set it up? What do you need to prepare the space before you go and take on a task? Nothing worse is going to start something and you can't finish it, right? Or you go in on something and it's just a hot mess because no one planned it out, right? It's okay if you have hiccups during stuff, right? That's life, things happen, right? But it's another thing when you completely didn't plan this out. So you did no strategic thinking or no planning, right? So these are some skills that you want to learn to have, right? A talent, on the other hand, is the risk taking, right? Some people in business will take risks and some people won't, but that may be just what a talent that you have and other people don't have. I may play it safe, I may never, take too many risks. And my business is a safe business. We're going to play it safe because that's what I'm comfortable with. And there's nothing wrong with that. But you may be a risk taker and you may implement that risk-taking talent into your business, right? Self-efficacy, right? Initiative, right? Creativity, patience, communication, passion. These are, and I'm glad passion is listed here because you can run a business and not have passion for that business. It's just like working at a job and you don't really have a passion for that job you're doing, so just let's think about, the work we're doing. If we're setting out to be entrepreneurs, there should be something we're passionate about, if it feels a social need, right? It should be something that we're passionate about. So I will pass it with that to Crystal to take us through our skills, some more skills.
Thank you, Isaac. So if you haven't had a chance to think about the skills that you need for a business, here are a couple. You might have some graphic design skills. You might actually know a graphic designer who can help you build out a logo or build out some flyers if you're hosting an event in the future. You could be a photographer. Even if you're just taking photos on your phone, that still counts as digital photography. Or you might just know somebody who's very good at photography, and that could be used later on down the line to take your headshot, which you'll need. We're all writers, from as soon as we start learning how to write down to the point that we start editing in like elementary and high school. So that's definitely going to end up being a skill that you'll need later on down the line when it comes to opening your own business. Marketing, that is going to be a huge thing that you'll learn as a business owner, because you'll find that if you aren't the one advocating for your business or advocating for whatever your client is presenting to the community, then nobody's going to know that it's around. So whether your event is something that you're marketing through paid ads or you're marketing it through organic outreach, and organic outreach just means that you're doing your outreach and you're letting people know about what's going on with your events or your business for free, and you don't have to necessarily pay for that. You'll also need to take into consideration the idea of building a website. So building a website might seem super complex, but once you get the hang of it, it's actually really easy. Unless you want to do something like HTML, that's a whole different ballgame. And then one other thing that you'll have to learn about being a business owner is learning how to say no when necessary. That's one thing that I've struggled with since I became a business owner in early 2017. I ended up working with a lot of clients who figured that when they were paying me, that made them entitled to take my marketing list, or take my public relation list that where I would send things out to different news outlets, or have contacts that I've built relationships with. So I've actually gotten into arguments with a lot of clients because they felt that because they were paying me that they owned me, and that's not the case. So as your own entrepreneur, as an entrepreneur, and as a small business owner or a large business owner, whatever you end up becoming in the future, just take into consideration that you can say no, and if you have to fire a client, you can do that. And networking is a big thing. So this will count. Whatever friends that you make in today's workshop, these will be some really good connections to have in the future, because just like Isaac said in the beginning, there could be somebody that has a skill that you need that you don't have, or has a talent that you're just like, oh hey, this would be a good addition to my business. So as long as you're networking, as long as you're talking with people, that's going to be one of the best ways that you can let people know about what's going on. And then having adaptability, being able to be flexible. One thing that I learned about flexibility, especially during the pandemic, with my business, well, with our business, Open Road Poetry, we had to transition from doing a lot of our events in person and had to move them over to being virtual. So we ended up finding so many different organizations that they had no idea how to take their stage theatrical plays and turn them into virtual plays. So we were the ones that decided, okay, we're going to go figure out how we can turn a play and how we can turn a Zoom room into a black box theater and make the audience members feel like they're actually watching a show, except they're just watching it through their screen. So, you know, just knowing that, just being adaptable in terms of like other people's schedules, your own schedule too, because life happens. You never know what's going to happen. And making time for yourself as a business owner, you can't be around 24/7. And I learned this from my co-owner Rescue. She said that you should only allot an amount of time for your clients. So even if you're available for like 3 hours or 5 hours, that's the amount of time that your clients can reach out to you. And if they want you, then they need you. And the other thing you have to take into consideration too, if people find that they don't want to work with you, or they're trying to have some pushback at the way that you run your business, that's not your audience. And they'll find out later on down the line when you move up. So another thing you have to take into consideration is focus. So just like Isaac said about being prepared for your business, having focus, you will need to take so much time to like write out a business plan, do a vision board, or just do something as small as like making a flyer. Being able to like pinpoint those things and kind of have like a laundry list of the things that you need to do. Same thing with like our bullet points that we have on the presentation. That's going to be important later on down the line. And also customer service. Customer service is a huge thing. If you can't be nice to somebody, then there's really no point in being in the whole field of trying to have your own business, because you're going to be communicating with people from all different walks of life, and you have to be respectable. And you also need to humanize yourself as a business owner, because yes, we are business owners and we will be business owners in the future, but we're still our own people. So having that I guess that dynamic really makes it important for us. And of course, accounting skills. Even if you're not good at math, you can always hire somebody that has the accounting skills that can help you out with taxes and keeping track of your budget. And the same thing goes for business and administration management. That's just, these are going to be really important skills that you'll need later on down the line. So take into consideration what services or products you're providing as a business owner or a future business owner. What products or services are you seeking to provide? If you haven't added that in the chat, you could just add that right now. So then we'll know, or you'll have like a better idea of what you want to do once you get your business off the ground, if you are a new business owner. So a couple questions that you can ask yourself, or just, these are not questions, actually, I'm sorry. These are a couple statements about your business. So I provide these services because, what is the reason why you're providing the service for your audience, for your client? Your business fulfills this need. What need are they fulfilling? Maybe it's a theater company, and the need that you're fulfilling for the theater company, you're taking photographs for their play. You're getting all the candid shots that somebody who's watching from the audience point of view won't see. And being a photographer, you know, you're able to capture the the beautiful landscape that people aren't seeing while the actors are going across the stage. Or maybe you're a marketer, you're getting the event out there, you're circulating it to all the newspaper outlets, you're circulating it to people on social media, you're circulating it to people who are passing by in parks and seeing your flyer posted up on a board. And the services and products that you may choose to provide or already provide for your business, what makes them unique to you? So these are just some things to take into consideration. So as I said earlier, and for those of you who are new to the presentation, my name is Crystal Davis. I am a multidisciplinary mixed media artist. I was born and raised here in Jersey City. My mom is from Thailand and my dad is born and raised in America right here, but he's Hungarian. So I'm a mix. And I am the author and creator of Crystal Letters, LLC. I'm the co-founder and co-producer of Open Road Poetry. Open Road Poetry is an artistic partnership between myself and Rescue Poetics. And my writing and my art projects are just a way that I've been able to collaborate with nonprofit organizations and artists across the tri-state area, nationally and internationally. And my work is inspired by nature, color, and the utilization of practical craft through art and visual and written form. And again, these are how you can reach me. My website is crystalletters.com. I'm on Facebook as Crystal Letters and Instagram as Crystal Letters Official. So I'm just going to show you a little bit more about what I do. So Crystal Letters it actually started off as a blog in, I think it was early 2009. I had this really awesome English professor, and this, you know, I didn't know what I wanted to do as a writer. I just knew that I wanted to do both. So I was both in high school in an art program, and I was just going to regular school at the same time. And I was able to kind of like just explore myself as a writer and a painter. So a lot of my pieces during this time period, I would have poetry written on the back part of the canvas, and then I would paint over top of it. So you can kind of see that the difference between the two. And I decided in 2017 that I wanted to open my own business because at the time, I didn't have a job and I was looking for one. So I ended up working very short. I think it was maybe like 4 hours. I ended up going to an interview with this pyramid scheme company that I didn't know what a pyramid scheme was at the time. And I got on the J train, went all the way to the last stop. And the guy who was my supervisor, he told me that I was gonna have to go door to door. And I did it for like the first 4 doors. And then I stopped myself and I just kind of like, I had to take a second, because when we were on the train earlier, he was asking me about, you know, what I do. And I told him like, well, I'm a painter and a writer and I'm working on a book right now. And so he goes, after I told him, like after we stopped at the 4th door, I told him like, I don't think I can do this. Like it was almost like a moment of just like awakening for me. And I told him like, I just really can't do this. I'm like, I don't see myself doing this for the future. So then he tried to mock me and he said, he's like, oh, so he's like, so what are you gonna do? Are you gonna go home and work on your novel? And I looked at him and I was just like, you know what? Yeah, I am. I didn't, but that's okay. Just knowing that it was a part of something, it was a part of my history into what built me into a freelance writer and editor and just overall artist is an important thing. So I also do with Crystal Letters public relations and promotional and social media marketing services. So I help out a lot of different artists and a lot of different nonprofits to get their event to where it needs to be. And I've also learned in the past couple of years how to take photographs. So I do like, can we move this person to the waiting room? And Open Road Poetry is the business that I opened up in 2019 with Rescue Poetics. And together we had the opportunity to meet after my co-partner, who I was originally hosting open mics with in Jersey City, she was leaving and moving to a different state. So I thought I wasn't going to have the chance to host these events anymore. And then here Rescue comes and she says, hey, she's like, I'm here, I'll do it. So we decided to open up Open Road Poetry. And Open Road Poetry is basically a platform where we serve artists and we give them a chance to showcase their work through multiple open mics, multiple events. And we just kind of take it from there. Well, I'm gonna stop the share for a second. Thank you. And you can find out more about Open Road Poetry at openroadpoetry.com, and also the same 2 links for Facebook and Instagram. So here's a little snippet of something that we do here with Open Road Poetry and with Crystal Letters. So of course we do public relations marketing, social media marketing, photography, graphic design, web design, video, audio editing, and technical support, which I'm doing here today. So it's just important to know that like the skills that you learn over time, you can still add that to your roster and your resume of things. So I'll show you this one very quickly. This is a website that I built for, this is actually one of my this is my third company. This is called the Garden of Elixirs. So this is a website that I built for us. It's still in the works, but it's getting there. Okay. One moment. And this is a reel from Open Road Poetry. This is what a lot of what we did during the pandemic. Hi, and welcome to Open Road Poetry's very first podcast. And we're super excited to have all of our viewers here as well. And we're going to jump right into it. So we ended up partnering with a company called Walk By, and we did a virtual gallery with them.
Brown girl, you don't have to cry no more, no. Today, the eyes looking at you will judge you for the color of your heart, no matter the color of the eyes. I'm not mad, I'm disgusted.
I was happy. Jefferson said, come back. I got to him for the first time.
How are you?
Wonderful.
Grant?
I am a decent man.
Grant, decent men back out. Decent men make excuses, and decent men say one thing and then do another. And decent men change all the time. They change the rules. And decent men don't show up.
I will give you everything I have all my life.
The film being that, you know, that is real life, and that is a real human experience, that people can have these varying kinds of relationships.
All right, so if you want to, let's spotlight your screen, Crystal. I'm going to mute myself. If everyone would turn their cameras off, please.
Synthetic conversion of lives.
I want to thank Open Road Poetry first, because that's who's providing our technical support. They have put so many beautiful images in time and videos. There's love in these details.
So just take into consideration anything that you learn over time, with any skill. So if you learn video and audio editing, or if you learn how to do technical support at some point for anybody, photography, graphic design, web design, make sure you add that as your skill and your talent for your business. And it's going to be something that's going to take you a long way, because the only person that can limit you as a small business owner is yourself. So you have to really just take that into consideration. And just know that you could do anything. There's nobody in the world that can stop you. The main person that can say no, just like I said in the beginning, will be you. And keep a collection of everything that you do. If you're a photographer, make sure you keep a collection of all your photographs, because people are going to want to see what you can create, what you can make. If you're a graphic designer, make sure you have graphic design samples that you can showcase to future clients. Learn how to build out a media kit, because that's going to be something that'll take you a very long way. During the pandemic, we worked with Walkby again, and we ended up building a virtual gallery for them, which about 70 hours of work went into building this gallery, but it was one of the funnest things that I ever had a chance to do, because I've always wished of having my own space and my own gallery to showcase other people's artworks, but I can't afford it. So I found this outlet, and now I have the chance to host any kind of gallery that I'd like to. And this was really awesome. This was from an exhibition called One. This was for the 1-year anniversary of Walkby and Open Road Poetry. And that's pretty much it from me. So I'm going to turn it over to Edwin for the next half of our business presentation. So hold on one second, Edwin. I'm going to pop this on the screen for you.
And as they're getting that set up, just please use the chat, talk to us, ask questions. We've already said a lot of information. If there's any questions you have, particularly on the work Crystal is doing or anything, just drop it in the chat. We definitely want to hear from everyone.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. So like I said before, I mentioned before, I spent a lot of years in prison, but when I was in prison, I tell people this all the time, and it shocks them, but I learned a lot of skills when I was in prison. One of the things that I did was become a facilitator. So it helps me out here, and the transition from in-person facilitation to a Zoom presentation took me a minute, but that's one of the skills that I always can have with me, because when I do presentations to individuals, when I'm trying to get a contract going, right, with my company, right, with other companies, it helps me to present. So when I really wanted, I had a little situation too where I didn't want to work for someone, right? I still work for someone, but I kind of like the job that I have. Because I'm a community organizer, and it's really important. I feel like it's a really important work that I'm doing when it comes to like closing Rikers Island and criminal justice, because it's something that I'm passionate about, right? But like I said, when I was in these spaces, because I'm also a poet, right? I'm also a poet. I go by the name the Poet Rican, and I know people have done, recorded my poetry before. I've performed with other spoken word artists, but I always had a sense of I wanted to like be behind the camera. I wanted to make things happen, right? And here I am along with these other poets, taking pictures with my phone. That's one of the things that I struggled with when I came home, was technology, right? So I said, you know what, I'm going to learn this technology. I'm going to learn something. And the technology was so good. The technology kind of shocked me, interested me so much that I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to take pictures. when I was young, for various reasons, because of my household and my upbringing, I was always I always shied away from the camera. I didn't want pictures. I didn't want nobody taking pictures of me. And now it's kind of different. You know, I don't mind people taking pictures, but I want to take pictures of people because I think that capturing the moment is something that interests me, right? So that's what I do. You could go to the next slide. So what is Tough Art Media? So I created Tough Art Media in 2021. And then the pandemic happened, right, in 2020, which kind of set me back a little. But I think that one of the things that we saying here today is kind of like look at everything and use a lot of the stuff that we're giving you here. That's basic when it's time to create your business as well as moving it forward. So in 2021, I started the business, right? So I bought a camera. I have all this equipment. You know, I'm still growing, but I didn't really know photography. I thought it was going to be as simple as picking up a camera and taking shots like you do with your phone. It's not that simple. So I took most of the 2020 in learning the craft, right? Learning what a photographer does, what a film, what does it take to become a filmmaker. And come to find out, I have to do a lot of stuff on my own because I'm the only employee here, right? I'm the only person that's here. I'm the only employee, right? So what is Tough Art Media? And this is what Tough Art Media has become. It's a high quality production company. No, you could put it back. I'm going to read it. High quality production company. We provide services in film, television shows, music videos, commercial work, right? So I've done work with individuals who are artists, right? Like I said earlier, I like to say the word starving artists because a lot of people don't get paid. They do a lot of open mics and they're really good. They just haven't been signed and things like that nature. And also work with other people in other industries as well, right? I work with a lot of advocates that work for organizations that are from reentry organizations that help people like myself coming home from prison and jail. So, you know, I had to build those network up. You know, I was networking. You know, I've got networks with individuals who are entertainers, individuals who are advocates, individuals that are none of that, right? That just own mom and pop stores, right? They may own. I know an individual here in the Bronx that owns. He's the first Black individual to own a I forgot what he calls it, but it's basically a liquor store, right? A nice fancy liquor store over here in the Bronx area. Like no one else owns, no other Black individual owns a store like that over here in the Bronx, and he's the first one. So I've worked with him. I've worked with in other industries as well. So this New York-based company collaborates with organizations, companies, entertainers, formerly incarcerated individuals because, and I always like that. I always want to share my lived experience with others and help they share with me because we're spread out, right? We're a group that's spread out. We have this trauma in our lives and we experience this and then we just want to come home and chill. So a lot of people ain't in the limelight, right? They may be in the side. I know an individual who came home after doing 15 years and he's a fitness coach, right? So he goes around, he teaches people how to stay healthy, right? How to work out. And things of that nature. So I love that aspect. And all people from different walks of life. Tough Art Media show on YouTube is called Check-In. I have this show called The Check-In, where I just like pop up on people, pop up in events. If let's say I know you from this workshop and you invite me to an event, I might have my microphone out and my camera and I might just say, hey, let's do a quick interview. And the interview might go along like, hey, how you doing? Who are you? You know, who are you? Can you, what are you doing? What's this event about? And I'm just like kind of checking in with people. And most of the time when I do that, I find that I'm giving a platform to individuals who may not have a platform, right? They may be just starting out. Or they have a platform, but they want to grow it. So, you know, with me and them, we're kind of like going together. And so self-help media seeks to give the little person a chance in this world and believes in the power of the people. I think the power of the people comes from my upbringing. And like I said before, like I'm a freedom fighter. So, you know, I believe in people power. I believe that if we all come together and we say, and we all have a collective voice, that's power. That's what I believe, right? And I think in business, I don't want to shy away from that. Because and when I say all people of all walks of life, because you know I've been discriminated against because of my felony, because I've been in prison for so long, because of why I was in prison, because I'm Puerto Rican, because I come from a low income, a poor family in Queens. You know what I'm saying? So you know, like I want to give the little person a chance. You can move on. So these are some of the pictures that I've taken. This is an artist. She started off years ago and she's continuing on. I met her in Queens and went out by Queens and just took some pictures of her, which is I hope you enjoy it. You can move on to the next one. These are just some of the pictures that I take from individuals, maybe from like Halloween parties. This is just like personal pictures. This was my brother's dog. You know, she was real photogenic. So I got like a whole bunch of pictures. She was like a wonderful model. She passed away recently. And that's my nephew. You can move on. So these next combo of pictures are actually from events that I either was paid to be at, or I was there for for like the check-in or whatever case may be. And I hope you enjoyed some of these pictures. You can move on. So this is like some of the rally. This rally was the one on your left was a rally that took place on November 3rd last year in 2022. And we had an 18-hour rally for 18 hours for each individual who passed away on Rikers Island. And as you can see, someone was sitting there next to some body bags, and they're all supposed to represent people that had passed away. And most of these pictures are from different rallies. The one on the right is from a Queens rally. You can move on. We'll move on. Cool. So hopefully, like as I'm just showing you like different aspects of, I didn't have no video, but if you go on to my YouTube page, you can find me anywhere on any platform as Tough Art Media. That's Tough TUFF Art Media. You can move on. Is that the last slide? Yeah. You can go on. Yeah, that's cool. So I think I want to end it like this. Is that the last one? Yeah. So I just want to end it like this and say that, yeah. So I just want to end it like that and say, like, I noticed in the chat that we have individuals here who hasn't started a business, and people who has. Those individuals who have businesses, please impart your knowledge. But I noticed in the chat that we have individuals who have businesses like cupcakes. I think someone said they make cupcakes, they make cakes. So that's a skill. That's something that that's a passion that you may have that you don't know that you have or haven't explored yet. And then you turn that into a business, right? I know a lot of individuals who started off just like cooking stuff in the kitchen, nothing really serious. And then all of a sudden they say, you know what? I want to go to culinary school. Let me go to culinary school and learn something and make sure that I could take these skills that I have and turn it into something that's profitable. So you never know what your passions or your talents and your skills can lie. And I just so happened to luck out and put my face in back of a camera and say, this is something that I wanted to do. And it's really amazing to just come across a lot of individuals. And I want to pass that. Thank you for your time. And I want to pass it to Isaac so he can talk about his.
Peace and blessings, everybody. Peace and blessings. If it's okay with my facilitators, I wanted to give everyone maybe 60 seconds to run to the bathroom, go grab something to drink, some water or something. And I will start my portion of the presentation at 11:06, if that's cool. Just take a moment I know we're dumping a lot of information on you right now, but we want you to get a good understanding of the work we've been doing, how we've been doing it, our passions, some of the trials, tribulations we have encountered as business owners. These are real, so that you don't become discouraged when they happen. You know that they happen to all business leaders. Right? So we'll just wait 60 seconds. I also, I also wanted to just let folks know, if I'm responding in the chat and it's coming up as Khalil G. James, that's my pastor, but more importantly, he's the executive director of Another Choice Youth and Family Outreach, which is the organization that houses the Confined Arts as a fiscal sponsored program. So we're using their account, so you may see me in one space as Isaac Scott with the TCA logo, and then maybe another space with the Another Choice in the chat. I think I responded in the chat to someone and they thought I was Khalil. But just want you all to know that that's family too. So if he responds, it's just as much wisdom. Because I know he is on the call. All right, so with that, I'll bring us back in. Thank you. First, I want to say thank you to our wonderful presenters, my co-facilitators. Thank you very, very much for being here with me. As a business owner and entrepreneur myself, you come to this work as partners for me. You know, you guys are my strategic network. You know, you help me execute the work that we set out to do. So thank you very much for being here and sharing your work. You know, it's important. A lot of what my passion is to ensure that artists specifically have the resources, the network, and the support they need to be successful. My company, Isaac's Quarterly, is driven on this principle. This is a part of a paragraph. It's extended on our website on our philosophy, how we work page on the Confined Arts. But this is a quote that was written by one of our past collaborators, a good friend of mine who's also an artist. Art is at the forefront of change. The process begins when we imagine a new world, one that is devoid of stigma and inequality. Resourceful artistic creativity within social change is one of the most influential and sometimes overlooked methods of problem solving. So in this quote, Naomi was able to capture a lot of what I had been screaming and shouting and yelling from the rooftops. I've been doing this work with the arts in a social justice capacity since I came home from prison in 2013. I want to spend a few seconds on this slide to give y'all some background, because the way it's presented, I'm presenting Isaac's Quarterly and then I'll present the Confined Arts, but I want you to know that everything that I do has come from the Confined Arts as the foundation, and Isaac Quarterly has come from, it has gained this stability and placement in my work and passion through the Confined Arts. So in 2014, I started Isaac's Quarterly, right? My grandfather, God bless his soul, before he died, he gave me the money to start my first business. He gave me about $130, and it was about $109 in New York to start a sole proprietorship. So I started Isaac's Quarterly as a sole proprietorship. And it has always been, no matter what form I've tried to take it into, it's always landed on, remember I said my capacity, and my capacity has only ever been to be a multimedia artist. So it's always landed on multimedia art and consulting. With me, I've learned over the years how to build partnerships to be able to do the work in a larger capacity where I can subcontract other people to work with me alongside me to do the work, right? Next slide, please. So our services include aesthetic consultation. So that really just is a fancy word for a fancy way of just saying, helping you to think through the aesthetics of a particular place, a project. Sometimes the aesthetics are a huge consideration when you are teaching in certain spaces. What effects do you want to have on people walking into the room, right? Do you want your room to be set up with certain colors that are going to give a first impression, or do you want there to be bland colors where it's not distracting, or do you want, you know, certain things placed in certain places in the room? So the aesthetics, this could also be conceptually in a project. What are the aesthetics? How do we want people to feel when they experience our art, right? So consultation in that fashion, graphic design and web design, videography, live streaming, artistic advocacy campaigns. So helping people. So I most recently worked with the CUNY School of Law to help create clemency videos for people. So they have students who are creating clemency packages for people who are incarcerated currently. And these clemency applications go before Governor Hochul. And each year the governor grants clemency to those people who are currently incarcerated, who they feel deserve a second chance. And alongside this, this written document that is given to the governor's office, there's also, you know, now we're at a place where we can give, they're also accepting videos to provide further context. So I was able to go in with my camera. This is, and Edwin knows this, if, you know, this is crazy. I went in with my camera, you know, and all of my gear, you know, and they let us film inside of a prison and film a person talk about their story, plead for their second chance to the governor. And I was able to take part in shaping that narrative as the video editor. So I not only was I the videographer, I also was charged with creating the video. So as someone who had lived experience, who understands the system and understands the stigma that people who are incarcerated face, I was able to articulate, you know, a humane message that comes from a place of lived experience, but also accountability, you know, ensuring that, you know, there is a level of accountability because people were hurt, you know, during these crimes. So, but having that balance, something that could have been lost with a videographer who didn't have that same lived experience, who doesn't understand, you know, the stigma that people face, and understand really how to undo that in the eyes of the people who will watch these videos, right? So that was part of a campaign we've created. We also have I said this in the chat to Krista. You did the you actually did one of the works. You did excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm fumbling all over. You did the virtual exhibition. I had wanted to do that. We were working on a project called Open Call for Clemency during the pandemic, and I actually proposed that to do this virtual exhibition. I think myself, or I think it was just one of the proposals that came up. I was really interested in it, but we shied away from it because we were worried that it would be too much for people to navigate. And the exhibition we did is beautiful, but in some ways I'm like, I wish we would have did it that way. But that was an advocacy campaign because it advocated for people's immediate release from prison during COVID. And I'm not sure if you know, the governor did release a lot of people during COVID. So just to put that in context is, you know, because folks know they weren't just letting everybody out just, you know, very recklessly. You know, you had a lot of people who had a date for going home within the next 60 days, 90 days, 120 days, and they were still being held on principle. You know, you got to finish every day at that time, but COVID was spreading inside of the prisons at such a large rate. Some people died in those last 20, 30 days of coming home, and they, you know, and they were scheduled to be coming home after doing 20, 30 years and being released by the parole board. The parole board saying, yes, you can go home, but they having to wait 30 days for processing. They die in prison because COVID was spreading so fast. So we put on an advocacy exhibition that took work from people inside, and it displayed it. and it gave people voice. We did this through the Confined Arts. Content creation, professional development, artistic literacy trainings, grant and proposal writing. These are also services that we provide. Next slide, please. So the Confined Arts. So I want to go back to 2024 for 2014. In 2014, I started Isaac's Quarterly. At the end of 2014, we had our first exhibition for the Confined Arts. The Confined Arts started as an exhibition we did in Harlem, which featured the work of currently and formerly incarcerated artists and those and their family members and friends, who if their friends or family members were also artists, they were also allowed to be in the exhibition, right? We did this in Harlem, and it got so much attention. We got so much attention from Teachers College. I remember going to present at Professor Yolanda Ruiz's class at Teachers College, and her whole class came. I presented a little bit about the exhibition. Her whole class came. Before we even opened the doors, I was kicking away equipment to put stuff away, and people were coming in the doors, and the exhibition was great. It featured the art of people who were currently incarcerated. It also featured some poetry and spoken word and testimony from people who had lived experience. And this really, in a lot of ways, became the start of this art and advocacy industry space that we see. From there, through Professor Yolanda Ruiz, I was recommended for the Justice Scholars Program at Columbia University. And as a Justice and Education Scholar, I came through the first cohort. I would encourage, definitely go check out the Justice and Education Scholars Program. If you have a background in incarceration and you are interested in continuing your education, there is an opportunity to receive free Columbia courses as a formerly incarcerated person. This program is still ongoing. I came through the first cohort in 2015. And from there, I was able, over the years, I went through the one semester. I was like, I'm not leaving. I went to the Center for Justice, pleaded for a job. I started working there, and I was able to actually take on what we know as intrapreneurship, where I was able to work at this larger organization, and they gave me space to build out the Confined Arts. So a lot of the work, so when I say that it started really with the Confined Arts, I'm known more for the work that we do with the Confined Arts. The Confined Arts has been how we've been able to do the work of changing the narrative around incarceration, do these exhibitions from Columbia to St. Francis. Nationally, we've been organizing storytelling projects, exhibitions, all sort of things. If you can think about it, we've done it as an organization, and we have a two-part mission. I say as an organization, but the Confined Arts is really set up simply as a program. And it's a program set up under Isaac's Quarterly, legally, right? So when I was in the space with Columbia, I was able to receive sponsorship, or not, I don't want to call it sponsorship. Because I worked there, I was able to have the Center for Justice pull it under their organization as a program, the same way it's done at another Choice Youth and Family Outreach. So they had me there, and really the center hired me to build me up. I want to say this was, the center was a new Center for Justice at Columbia, and they were hiring formerly incarcerated people to inform the work and to do just this work. And because I had a background in the arts, they allowed me to build out the Confined Arts. And one of the things I respect about the Center for Justice at Columbia is they never tried to take ownership of the Confined Arts. They always was like, no, that's Isaac's thing, and they always allowed me the space to be there to work on this more than, I did a lot of work at the center, but the majority of the work that I did there was build out the Confined Arts. And we were able to get funding from the Open Society, and now we are at another Choice Youth and Family Outreach, and we are getting funding from the Ford Foundation. How this works for us as a business, I want to say this because people should understand this. This is why I said in the beginning, you don't have to start a nonprofit to do nonprofit work. I am an artist. I want to make money as a videographer. I have a skill set that I want to make money for. doing, right? I have a business. I want to be able to subcontract people and do the work that I do, right? I can't do it all myself, but I can do a lot. I also have a network of people that we've built, right, through the Confined Arts and through our Arts Justice Safety Coalition. So in us offering all of these free resources like you're getting right now, we build our network. So later, right, I meet I meet Susan. I met Susan. She hosted a workshop for us last week, right? I have someone contracts Isaac's Quarterly later. Hey, we want you to come in and do professional development with our spoken word artists who will be our teaching artists who are spoken word artists, and they want, we need them to know what you all know. I say, great. I come in with what I know. I hit Susan up. Hey, Susan, I got a job for you. What do you think? Here's what I can pay you for. And then we've set up an opportunity. Now, my network of subcontractors and people that I'll work with and collaborate with is growing and growing. So it helps. We're able to do this work and offer free tools, but it also builds our network to be able to build our capacity to do the work in the first place. So when I say we, the company is named Isaac's Quarterly, but when I say we, I mean everything that sits under Isaac's Quarterly, and that is myself, the Confined Arts, our Arts Justice Safety Coalition, and everyone who is a part of that. So with that, I will quickly go through the next two slides and say that the Confined Arts has a two-part mission. The first part of that mission is an advocacy-driven mission, and it is to change the narrative around incarceration and for those people who are justice impacted, right? We want to create humane narratives. We actually have a policy goal through our Arts Justice Safety Coalition to center the arts at every level, from pre-trial to post-release, reentry, all of these different places as a means of an alternative to punitive solutions in the criminal legal system. The second part of our mission is to provide strategic arts education. So that is, we have our free courses that we offer, and we will always do this. We will always offer free resources through Isaac's Quarterly and through the Confined Arts. Everything, every service, every project we do, it will always be free of charge. We do raise money for it, right? We do ask for donations. We do have to apply for grants, right? But of course, yes, there is a portion of the Isaac's Quarterly budget that does also go into funding the operational costs of the Confined Arts, because it is important that we continue to do the work in the community, right? And in a lot of ways, I might have prioritized the work in the community over my need to make money as an entrepreneur, right? But these are decisions and sacrifices we think to make and how we set up our businesses. So with that, I will transition us to Crystal, who will speak to us a bit about our audience.
Thank you, Isaac. That was awesome. So the next part of our workshop is finding out who our audience is and what is needed and what need your product or service is fulfilling for them. So you have to really think about the clients that you want to work for, simply because of the fact that, the clients that the Confined Arts may have, you can reach out to a different community than Edwin can when he's doing his photography. Like, he might be going halfway around the world to go take photographs for a rally or an event. And the same thing goes for me with any kind of like theater arts or just like spoken word, or just any kind of arts events that are happening here within the tri-state area. Since I don't take public transportation, I try to work with a lot of my audience that are, since I do take public transportation and I don't drive, my audience is strictly set to the virtual world, or people who live in the tri-state area for me, because it's easier for me to get to them that way and work with them in that aspect. So I'm going to pass this on just for a second to Edwin. You can talk about your audience that Tough Art Media works with.
Yeah, absolutely. So Tough Art Media works with everyone, but my audience, because I don't want to be pigeonholed in one thing, right? So when you think about your audience, right, you think about who are the people that are close to you, and then you branch off from there. That's how I've done it, right? So the proximity is key, right? So So if I have a cupcake business, right? Who can I get to who can I sell my cupcakes to? Right. So I that's what I did first. So I went photography and filming, because just like Isaac, I edit my work too, right? So I don't hire an editor to do it. So any video you see, 9 times out of 10, I edited it on my own, right? So these are something that I had to learn by myself, right? I had to learn that. But my audience at first was my family and friends, right? That was my audience. I just wanted to kind of like put it out to them and see what they do. They encouraged me to go forward, and then my audience became larger, right? The audience became the advocates that were on the street. Then it became people who needed headshots, just people just like, hey man, my family, I got a big family and I want to just take some pictures of my family. So, that right there is the audience those are the people that's gonna not only help me in my networking, but also growing my audience and getting more people that's gonna like Tough Art Media's work and don't mind working with me in the future.
Thank you, Evan. So one quick thing about Open Road Poetry and Crystal Letters. Our clients really span from people who work in government, people who work in theater arts. They also range from different companies from as far as Connecticut to Australia. I've worked with the city of Jersey City, Cultural Affairs. I've also happened to have the chance to work with Felicia Simmons. She is a candidate running for mayor in Asbury Park. And I've just kind of kept it going. Cyber Jams was from Maryland, and a lot of these clients were built through word of mouth. So I find that, like I said before, in terms of like the audience, if you see that there's a client that, might have some pushback towards the way that you run a business or you run your business, that's not the audience for you. And the audience that is for you, they'll find you, because your work ultimately, it speaks for itself. And your clients, they'll never, if you have a client that loves to work with you, they won't hesitate to give you a testimonial. They won't hesitate to tell people about how great your work is and how much your work has made an impact on them. And I didn't get a chance to mention it before, but the note about the pyramid scheme guy that kind of mocked me about working on my novel. I managed to publish in December my first book of poetry and artwork. And I was trying to find, publishing companies that would publish it for me, and nobody picked me up. So I decided to just publish it myself. So just understand that like you are going to be your biggest and best supporter, but also take into consideration if you're starting a new business or you're in like your first or second year, like Edwin said, your family, your friends, those are going to be the people that are going to help make you who you are, because they don't mind taking the quick 5 seconds to give a business card out to somebody who's like looking for a photographer, looking for a graphic designer, looking for somebody that's going to help them promote their event. So just know that these your audience is going to start small, and then eventually it'll work its way up, because people are going to enjoy what it is and the services and the products that you're providing. So just know that no matter what you're doing, it's going to make an impact on them. And I'm going to pass it on to Isaac.
Thank you both for sharing that. This is a really amazing presentation. I'm really glad that we did this. So specifically, one of the things that I will tell everyone, think about your uniqueness. What is unique to you? How is your business different? How are you going to be able to stand up in an industry that is already maybe saturated, right? There's already a ton of videographers. There's already a ton of editors, right? I'm on the phone with a videographer, right? So in a certain situation, Edwin would be competition and we'd be wrestling for a consumer. No, but there's a uniqueness about Isaac's Quarterly, and we hone in on that, and we market that way, and we decide on who our audience is that way. And we think of people who are, particularly socially conscious, maybe they have a justice mission, maybe they are a legal professional and they have an arts background. So they're like, yo, I love the arts, but I'm wondering how I can bring this into my current work, right? it is specific a lot to those to people who are doing nonprofit work, but it is important to know your uniqueness, because when you know your uniqueness, you can communicate it. You also can identify who your audience is, who are the people who specifically who need these type of services, right? So in some ways, right, me being a reverend, being an ordained minister, I have access. Also, that's the other thing. What spaces do you have access in, right? That also can determine your audience, right? So I have access in the faith-based communities, right? So the church that I actually joined is so funny. I started working with Reverend James as a partner, right? He brought me in as Isaac's Quarterly to do media work, consulting work, community engagement work, because that's part of what we do with Isaac's Quarterly, is we work with faith-based communities to enhance their community engagement through the arts. So since we've been there, we've incorporated a number of events, programs, and we've done so much. And I've ended up joining that church because I'm there so much. I love it. And I'm going on deeper into ministry with them, right? So, but in that respect, there was a door that I had open for me, right? So I can work with other faith-based communities because I understand their mission to some extent, right? I understand some of the issues they run into with engaging younger people. A lot of the church is made up of older people still trying to keep the church alive. And there's a lot of young people who are like, forget about church. I ain't never going there. So how do we bridge the gap between that, right? That's important, right? Because I believe we still got to do the work of God, if you believe that. So we have aligned goals, right? So I'm able to work with them and understand what they want to accomplish. This is important too, going back to what Evan was saying, right? We want to know what people, what do you want to, when you meet with a consumer, it's not just about busting that sale off, but what do you want to get from this interaction with me, right? Maybe it's not just the product you have, but it's the experience you give them, right? So we got to take all of those things in consideration. This is why those soft skills we mentioned in the beginning go a long way, because it's not just what I get from you, it's how I feel dealing with you. If you make it easy for me to work with you, I want to keep working with you, right? And I want to refer you to other people because it's easy to work with you. You know what I mean? And I'm sure they're going to have the same experience, right? You always refer people to the places you like, right? When somebody like, yo, I'm doing such and such, or I need such and such, you're like, yo, why don't you go here? Why don't you go do that? And you're giving that reference because it was good for you. So it's important that we do think about how we show up, how we are relating to our audience, right? How we are able to identify them. I cast a wide net too. I can say I work with everybody, because I will. If almost everybody, if you're trying to make the wrong kind of video, I'm not going to stand with that as a business, because our name is associated with that. That's another thing. Like, I don't compromise for money. I've had money thrown at me a lot and I won't take it. It's principle. You got to think about, like, especially in this day and age, you don't want to step into nothing where it's going to come back and bite you in the butt later. You can't get ahead of everything, but some things you can see, like, this ain't going to be good. Let me not attach my name to it. Or maybe you provide a particular service for someone and you do it anonymously, so no one knows you did it. And you ask them, keep this anonymous. I'm going to do this for you because I mess with you, or I need this money, but don't, you ain't got to promote me on this. I don't need your promotion, or I don't want it. These are business tactics. You have to take it serious. I would also encourage people, don't get too, friends and family are the two places you want to just prepare yourself for the hardest road. With the people who know you the most, when you take on these new endeavors, they don't see you as Coca-Cola or Sprite or a different big conglomerate. They see you as the person they know you as. So if they don't see your dream and your vision the same way, it's okay. You know who your audience is, you know who you work with, and you know who cares about your product, and you keep the focus on what it is you're doing, right? So with that, here's who Isaac's Quarterly work with. We specifically identify people, but our net is wide. But I put these points on our site so that if people feel they fall in these lines, they'll say, oh, okay, this is for me. I don't want people to look and say, hey, well, do they mess with my kind of organization? I don't know. I want you to know, yeah, we do work with you, so it's important that we communicate. So with that, let's take that to the next slide. What is your mission aside from making money? You know what I mean? Sometimes, and this is not, every company should have a mission. Maybe a mission is to just make money, right? But you should have a mission of some sort that we seek to provide the best soda on earth, or the best experience when drinking tap soda, right? So whatever it is that your mission is, it should be clear. But in this particular context, what is your mission aside from making money? Do you want to have an impact in some positive way on a particular community? If so, then say that. If you are making organic cookies and you are doing that because you want people to eat healthy, that's something you should let us know, right? Don't just tell us you make the cookies, tell us why you make the cookies, and tell us how the cookies going to benefit us. So when I read about your cookies, I may not have thought I want to eat those cookies, but hey, I know that the doctor just told me last week I need to eat better, and these cookies look like probably what he's talking about. So let me go buy those cookies and try them, right? So what is your mission aside from making money, right? How do you communicate that? You know, we're going to go into that on the next slide, but really, like, what is your mission aside from making money? Yes, we want to make money. We want to bring in revenue. We want to pay the bills, but I want you to understand that a lot of the money you make in the beginning is not going to pay bills, but the bills it takes to run the business. You have to know this, and you have to be ready for this. Right? Unless you start with capital, you get some donors, God bless you. You get some funders, some people who support you. That's another way. You can start your business with capital. Hey, family, could y'all invest like 10K in my business real quick for me? I'll give it back to you over the next 2 years. I'll do my best to in a loan, figure it out. But how do you execute your mission, and what is your mission aside from money? I want to encourage everyone to have a mission aside from making money. In this capitalistic, greedy, colonized place we live, we should have a mission for our business that is aside from just making money. I'll stop there. With that, I'll transition to Edwin and Crystal, who can lead us in our next slide.
So Isaac said a lot of things that was important, right? He said words like capital. He said words, we heard today different type of words, right? We heard bookkeeping, we heard accountant, we heard all these words, right? And I just want to encourage everyone to know the language of your industry, right? What is the language or terminology associated with the industry of your product or service? My industry is film, right? Media. Right. But when I'm talking to other photographers, or if I'm trying to get someone to as a client, what words am I using? Right. The clients may not understand what the depth of field is, or what an aperture is, or what kind of lens I'm using. Right. But I might get an organization that says, hey, listen, man, we want some portraits done, and I want you to use the best lens. So I know the language, that type of language, right? I know I'm have to use a nifty 50 or something like that, right? Because they give good portrait lens. That's a good portrait lens or something, right? But a person that owns a mom and pop store, when it comes to like a little bodega or something, you got to know how to, what kind of like inventory, what is inventory, right? Those are type of languages that you need to kind of like have when you're in business, right? And how do you communicate that brand, right? Your brand, you have a brand. So if you will be dealing with the cookies that Isaac was talking about, or the cupcakes I was talking about earlier, how do you communicate that brand to your audience, right? How do you communicate that? With me, how I communicate that with my audience is that I kind of show them, right? So when you go to my social media pages or my YouTube page, you're gonna see a lot of variety of things. You're gonna see political. You're gonna see some music videos, right? That I've shot and edited. You're gonna see some of that. You're gonna see the show that I have. So that how what I'm bringing to my audience and my brand is I'm showing them like I can be versatile. I can show them like this is the type of work that I've done with individuals, and it still conveys the same message. So learn the language, man. And it's just as simple as just learning business language. Like I said earlier, right? Products and services. What are that, right? What is that? So it's just a matter of this. Please learn the language or the terminology that's associated with your industry, because it's going to make your conversations much better. And we can move to the next one.
Can I also say to that last word that Edwin said, it's also going to strengthen your negotiation skills and your ability to articulate your work, to be able to ask for more money, you know, because sometimes people will lowball you and they'll ask you to do a big thing for a little bit of money. And you need to be able to, you know, you don't just take that. You might want to negotiate. No, I have a standard, I have a set price, and here's what it is. Here's why it's at this rate. Here's what you get when you purchase this, you know. So with that.
So thank you, Isaac. I want to continue conversation by saying, you know, what do you need or can you obtain a license or certificate for your work? So I knew an individual years ago that came home and had a trouble. He was a barber and had a trouble obtaining a barber's license, right? Because of his felony, right? Because of his background, right? But now in 2023, those laws has changed based on advocates fighting for it. So now there's individuals that's coming home from prison doing X amount of years, and they're able to obtain a license, right? But some of them don't know, right? They may not be privy to that information, so they still think in the old school, like, oh, I'm not going to be able to get the license. So if a barber is something that you want to do, or if you want to open a hair salon or do nails, you know, those are some things that you have to get a license for, or a certificate, right? And like, because it's going to only make your professional development better, right? What professional development support can you get to improve the quality of your work? Right now, as it stands, I'm a photographer, I'm a filmmaker, but I always take trainings because I don't have a degree in filmmaking, right? I can probably get one, but I don't have one, right? So a lot of my certificates, a lot of my professional development is actually enrolling into classes that I find on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram, or by word of mouth, right? Somebody here could put me onto a training that may help me with my branding, may help me with my filmmaking, and I know that I can get a certificate somewhere or obtain I don't need a license to practice, but I can get plenty of certificates from somewhere. So do the same thing. If it's baking that you need, you may want to consider taking a culinary class or something like that, right? A baker's class or something, just to improve yourself, because you may be really good, but just to and see if you could, see if you're able to, you know, if it's because state and city laws are different from other state and city laws. So, you know, do you need it? I don't know. It's up to you to actually sit down and see what you need to do to obtain a license or certificate.
And if it's okay, I just want to piggyback off of what Edwin said. So I didn't get a chance to add this to our presentation, but please keep in mind that there are so many different outlets that you guys can use to get a free certificate. One of them being Coursera. You can sign up for Coursera. It's spelled course with an A at the end, and they have different discounts. Well, they'll give you, like, I don't know, that you could take like a marketing course. I think there was one point where I paid for a digital marketing course and it was like $20 because they had a promotion going on. So just try to keep an eye out for that. You can also learn through using grow.google. So that's another source that you can use to get certificates from. They'll help you out with like learning how to use Excel or Microsoft Word. And you might not, like, even though a lot of us probably, we're at this point where we know how to use Microsoft Word and Excel and everything that Microsoft has come out with, if you have the certificate, that'll look good on a resume. That'll look good when you're talking to a new client and telling them like, oh, well, this is something that I specialize in. And also Harvard and Stanford universities, I think during the pandemic, they started releasing a lot of free courses that you can take online. So you could be anywhere in the world and you can still take it. There was my supervisor that I had earlier this year. He kind of like put a seed in my head that made me think about the way that I use my 24 hours, because we all have a different a different 24 hours. You know, some people, they like Edwin was saying, there's a baker who probably bakes as early as 6 o'clock in the morning to make sure that he gets that breakfast rush of rolls for people that are coming in and you know, making their way to work. And it's just a matter of like, if you're the type of person, you come home and you're spending I don't know, 1 hour a day cooking dinner, or 1 hour a day going to the gym, you can also set aside 1 hour a day that you can use the free certificate and courses that they have online. Put it on in the background. You can still pay attention and answer the questions later, you know? So just like take that into consideration. And please, like Edwin said, use YouTube. YouTube is how I learned how to use Photoshop, how I learned how to do half of the graphic design stuff that I know how to do today.
Yeah, they call it YouTubeversity.
Yeah. And I'm a YouTube University graduate. I'm gonna tell you that.
Me too.
But I wanted one other thing I wanted to add to this section, right? And I wanted to make sure I put it out there. So thank you, Crystal, for saying that there are free courses. Take advantage of them. Take advantage as many as you can for as long as you can, because there's a lot of people out there. This workshop is free. Right, so you took advantage of this. So this workshop is free, and I appreciate y'all coming on here and spending some time with us and learning some basics, right? But don't shy away from spending some money. Don't shy away from spending your money, because the only person that's going to really invest in your company and invest in you is you, right? So if you need a license or certificate, and it costs to get your LLC, and we'll talk about that in the next shop and all that, and workshop, but some licenses you may need, and it may not cost a lot, right? $100, $200, $150 is not really it is a lot if you're a single mother, or you know, you have children in your house, or you only make such amount of money. But if you really want, if this is something that you believe in, don't worry about it. Spend some money on yourself, man. Spend some money on yourself, because it's only going to help you with your development as you grow and improve the quality of your work.
Yeah. Can I say something to that? And if you're gonna spend the money and you ain't got it, you make sure that it's worth it. You know, you say to yourself, I'm gonna spend this last 200 on this, but it got to make me back 400 at least. You know, right. So you got to have that mind state that this is going to work. So, you know, once you spent that last bit of money, there's no giving up. It's all on the table now. Now I have to go all the way in. And this is the mind state you have to be successful. You know, you can be as we would say, wise as a serpent, but as harmless as a dove. So do crafty and do good business and do strategic business, but you don't have to do bad business, you know, but be smart with your business, you know. So with that, just wanted to say that we've said a lot. I think we're transitioning in this next slide to the Q&A section.
Yeah, we're gonna just like take like maybe one or two, because of time, maybe take 1, 2, or 3 persons that's that wants to raise their hand. Anyone that wants to raise their hand, we want to open this up to the floor.
If you raise your hand, we'll unmute you and turn on your camera so you can ask your question. And you're free to ask it in the chat as well. We'll try to answer it live. But we wanted you to also know you should dump your questions in the chat anyway, because we have created a running document that we're going to build out throughout the series of this workshop, which will answer probably a lot of the same questions you have. So all of the questions that were asked in the chat today, we're going to put in there, and we're going to put them with even more thorough answers than we might give you right now. But please, questions, raise your hand. We want to hear from you.
So right now, we just want you to, we put some things on up here so we can, so you can have your brain going, right? So all this we're talking about today is just to have those, that mechanism rolling on. So one of the things we want you to do is reflect on those who already, if you already have a niche, like some of y'all already have a business, right? Reflect on that business, right? Reflect on that niche, right? For those of y'all that don't have a business yet, who are beginners, you know, this is your time now. You know, start thinking about it. Start thinking, what are some niche ideas that you want to kind of like, and it could be really, really, really specific, or it could just be something like, you know, I want to open my bodega, you know what I'm saying, on the corner or something like that. Another thing is, where do you see your business in a year from now? right? So where do you see yourself in a year from now? A year from now, for myself, I see myself, because right now I'm in the process of I have a contract with an organization called Recreation. They're a workshop, a writing workshop group, and we're in collaboration to film some of their short stories that short scripts that they're starting to create now. So in a year from now, I see myself, actually filming these scripts, and hopefully getting some type of funding where we can, I can get some actors paid, get the writers paid, and just put it out there to the public and have something so the public can think about. So that's something I want to see from a year from now. And what do you need to start today? For those of y'all that don't have a business yet, what do you need today? Do you need that license? Do you need that certificate? Do you need some more building? Do you need some more training, which the next workshops that we're offering is going to happen? So I didn't see anybody's hand raised. And did y'all?
No.
Okay.
No, but thank you, Nathaniel Evans, for dropping some resources in the chat. Verizon has a free training for businesses attached to a loan after completion. The 2023 Verizon Small Business Digital Ready 10K grant application is open. Jump on that. I'm definitely about to hit this link right now because it's a resource, right? We can. This is probably an opportunity, so we'll see, but thank you. If there's any other resources like that or similar to, please share them. Questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. Can we just roll the resources slides for a second while we just see if anyone has any questions, if anything, and if no one has any questions, then we'll end on time and we'll follow up with all of these resources. And I'm sure, as you get a chance to think through what you want to do, having considered a lot of what we said about your own personal niche, I'm sure you'll have some questions. It's important, right? Okay, so Mr. Nathaniel, it says page not found. And I saw that on my link too. So maybe we could,
I got it. Mine's came up. Yeah.
Copy. I was also thinking I could just Google this particular training and it probably will come up. So we might have to do that, but you got the name of it. So definitely look it up. But one of the things I wanted to say was
resources.
Yes, thank you very much, Edwin. The resources, this particular workshop, finding your niche, a lot of times we get ahead of ourselves and we start doing work before we really have thought through the work, why we do it, and who we're doing it for. So a lot of times when we're asked those hard questions about the business, especially within applications, we don't know how to answer them because we've never really thought critically about our business. So I want to encourage everyone here to think critically about your work. Think about what you're saying you want to do. Think about what it's going to take to do it. Think about how much energy you'll have to spend. Don't scare yourself because you don't know everything, but consider all things, and be prepared for the opposition, and understand that like as my co-facilitators have said, you will be your biggest supporter. You will be your biggest supporter. No one should be supporting your business more than you anyway. Right? Because if that's the case, they should be owning the business because they care about it more than you. So if this is your thing, it has to be personalized to you, right? And to you and a group of people. So it may not just be your vision. It may be the vision of a collective. It may be a few of you guys. So keep those things in mind. But apply these tools, consider these things. And I guarantee you, it will definitely help you to explain what you do, why you do it, who you do it for, right? And that will build confidence enough for you to be successful in these first steps and then continuing, So I'll stop, let my co-facilitators give any final words, and then I'll close this out with some information.
So we're going to share a PDF of the resources in the chat, and probably, I think maybe one day from now, we will follow up with an email to everybody with some updated resources for your use. So we really hope that you enjoyed today's workshop, and we look forward to seeing you for the next one.
Yes, I want to just say thank you for everybody that showed up. Thank you, my facilitators. I think this is very important that we start. I know it's very simple, and a lot of things that we're talking about is very basic. But I think we have to start there. Because I like Les Brown a lot. I like listening to Les Brown. He's a very good motivational speaker. And I remember him saying years ago that a lot of good ideas, you could find a whole bunch of good ideas in the graveyard. You know what I mean? A lot of good ideas could be found in the graveyard, but you know, hey, we can't dig them back up. So just goes to say that, you know, don't let your ideas die. Don't think it's too big or too small. When I first started this, I was like, nobody's gonna want a person like myself that's coming home from doing all this time. Nobody wants them at their party taking pictures, you know what I'm saying? And you'd be surprised who you meet, man. There's some people out there that just want to network and be good. And you know, I've met a lot of them and I appreciate them. And Crystal and Isaac is one of them. You know, they're the ones. There's also people that like embrace me and you know, and I appreciate that. So find yourself, you know, not in a place where you thinking it's hard for you to do this. It's not, you know, it's not. Just, you know, I know you don't have that much time, but please, you know, just believe in yourself, and I think that you'll go a long way.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. It's amazing. We got through this whole presentation and it's not even 12 o'clock yet. So shout out to my co-facilitators. This is excellence. This is us creating community-based solutions. So with the work that we've been doing at Another Choice Youth and Family Outreach, which is located at Mount Zion AME Church in East Harlem, is that we are developing community-based solutions. So this right here is us targeting entrepreneurship and encouraging people to begin to own. You know, we definitely want you, you know, you should always get a job as needed, but some people have, like Edwin just said, don't let your good idea end up in the graveyard. Take that idea and turn it into something. Use that extra talent that you have. You can do your business on the side and do work, right? You may need them extra ends anyway. It doesn't have to be something big and grandiose. It can be something very small that you do as an individual, right? You may have a background in something, but you don't really practice it anymore because you're consumed with work. But now you have some time, you're retired, and you're about to retire, and you want to change fields and do what you love. Think about it. You know, this is why we are here. We are here to offer these tools free of charge. You know, it's important that we are able to educate folks, not just broadly, but within Black and Brown communities on these skills, these talents. No one taught. I wish I had this kind of workshop when I was starting my business. It wouldn't have taken me so long to get so much done. So with respects to all of that, I just want to thank you all again for being here. I do want you to visit the Confined Arts. Please show us some support. If this workshop was good for you and it helped, consider sharing it with someone when you get it. I'm going to put the link to our donation page in the chat. You know, if you feel so moved, please go to our site, leave a small donation so that we can continue to do this work. You know, it does take money to do this work, charitable work, right? But we rely on each other, shared resources. So I'm sharing the resource for the Confined Arts. At the end of the day, I'm going to always bust my butt to make sure that we can offer these free tools to our community and to people abroad. So with that, I'm going to stop. Maybe we can just continue to let the presentation slides go. We can turn up the music a little bit, and that'll be our outro. Thank you again very, very much. I appreciate you all, and we will be in communication with you all about upcoming workshops. Peace.